is, you wake up in the morning, and before you even leave your bed, capitalism has already shaped your day. Your phone, your clothes, the apps you scroll through, the ads competing for your attention, the coffee shops fighting for customers on your way to school, even your future career, are all connected to one system. Capitalism. A system built on competition, profit, and constant growth. It creates innovation and opportunity for millions of people. But it also creates pressure, inequality, and endless consumption. And the strange thing is, most people live inside this system every single day without ever truly understanding it. So, today we are going to explore what capitalism is, the thinkers behind it, the core ideas of the system, real historical examples, the short and long-term consequences, the strengths and weaknesses of capitalism, and how capitalism affects your personal financial life too. So get comfortable, relax your shoulders, and let's understand capitalism together. So, what even is capitalism? At its core, capitalism is an economic system. Its central idea is fairly simple. The economy should mainly be owned and controlled by private individuals and businesses rather than entirely by the government. In a capitalist system, businesses are privately owned. People are free to buy and sell goods and services. Prices are determined by supply and demand, and individuals compete to earn profit. The word capital refers to wealth, used to create more wealth. Money, property, factories, investments, anything that can produce value. In capitalism, individuals and companies own that capital and use it to generate more of it. That drive to grow wealth, to compete and to expand is the engine that powers capitalist economies. And because we live inside this system, understanding money becomes an important life skill. In capitalism, money is not only something you spend. In capitalism, it can also become a tool for stability, freedom, and future opportunities. That is why many people try to save part of what they earn, instead of spending everything immediately. Over time, savings can grow through something called compound interest. P is starting amount, R is rate, N is the number of periods, which is essentially the idea that your money can begin earning money on top of itself over time. Capitalism is often contrasted with communism, where the state owns and controls most of the economy centrally. Capitalism was not invented by one single person. It developed gradually over centuries. But the thinker most associated with capitalism is the Scottish philosopher Adam Smith. In 1776, Smith published one of the most influential economic books ever written, The Wealth of Nations. Smith argued that when individuals pursue their own self-interest, they can often unintentionally benefit society as a whole. He called this idea the invisible hand. For example, if you open a bakery because you want to make money, you also provide food for your community. If a company creates a useful product to earn profit, it may also create jobs and innovation. According to Smith, markets can coordinate choices, such as asking simple questions before buying something. If this were the last thing I could buy this month, would I still want it? If it broke tomorrow, would I repurchase it? Am I buying this because I truly value it, or because it is trending? For example, a Stanley Cup. I mean, you can just buy a regular water bottle. What's making it so good is because of the branding and popularity. But think to yourself, if this Stanley Cup was not trending at all, would I still want to buy it? Or for example, you buy a very expensive makeup product. It's a bronzer, but you already have bronzers. Would you still buy it if it broke tomorrow? Would you be nice and just like, yeah, I'll buy another one because I love it so much? Or would you think, wait, I already have bronzer, why would I need a new one? And besides Adam Smith, other important capitalist thinkers include David Ricardo, who developed theories about international trade and comparative advantage, John Stuart Mill, who supported free markets but also believed workers needed protection and reforms, Friedrich Hayek, who argued that free markets process information more effectively than governments, and Milton Friedman, who strongly supported economic freedom and limited government intervention. So capitalism is built around several core principles. Firstly, private property. In capitalism, individuals have the right to own property, not just personal belongings, but productive resources too. Land, businesses, factories, investments. Today, ownership can also include stocks, intellectual property, digital businesses, or valuable skills. Many people try to move from only earning wages to also owning assets, because assets can continue generating value over time. Liabilities, meanwhile, usually take money away instead of producing it. The idea of ownership creates incentive. If you build something, you benefit from it. Secondly, free market. Capitalism relies on markets, places where buyers and sellers exchange goods and services. Prices are generally not controlled by governments. Instead, they emerge through supply and demand. If demand for something rises, its price often rises too. That higher price encourages companies to produce more of it. This is how markets coordinate economic activity without one central authority directing everything. Thirdly, competition. Businesses compete for customers. This competition pushes companies to lower prices, improve products, and innovate. In theory, competition benefits the consumer because companies constantly try to become better than their rivals. The fourth one is the profit motive. Profit is the driving force of capitalism. When businesses earn more money than they spend, they can reinvest that profit into expansion, technology, or hiring workers. The profit motive encourages people to take risks, start businesses, invent products, and solve problems. The fifth one is wage labor. Most people in capitalist economies do not own large businesses. Instead, they sell their labor, their time, skills, and knowledge in exchange for wages. This creates a labor market where workers and employers negotiate the value of work. This is also why understanding your own value matters. Your education, skills, experience, and communication abilities all affect your opportunities in the job market. In capitalist economies, people who can solve difficult problems or create valuable services are often paid more, which is why investing in yourself through learning, health, rest, and relationships can be just as important as investing money. Capitalism is not just one single system. Different versions developed over time. Laissez-faire capitalism. This is the purest form. The government bonds and long-term investing. This has made investing more accessible than ever before, but it has also increased speculation, debt culture, and pressure to constantly consume. Lastly, we have state capitalism. In this system, governments still own major industries, but operated them for profit inside competitive markets. China is often described as an example of state capitalism. So firstly, we have United States. Obviously, the United States is often seen as one of the strongest examples of capitalism. Its economy developed through private enterprise, entrepreneurship, and competitive markets. Large companies in steel, oil, railroads, technology, and banking transformed the country into one of the world's largest economies. Modern companies like Apple, Amazon, and Google grew inside this competitive environment. We also have United Kingdom. Britain played a major role in the Industrial Revolution. Factories, coal mines, and industrial manufacturing transformed the global economy during the 18th and 19th century. Then we have the so-called East Asian tigers. Places like South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and Hong Kong experienced rapid economic growth through capitalist development. This rapid transformation is often called the East Asian miracle. Capitalism creates both positive and negative short-term effects. So some short-term strength. One major strength is economic growth. Competition encourages businesses to produce efficiently and innovate quickly. This can lead to job creation, rising productivity, new technology, and more consumer choices. Capitalism has helped produce inventions ranging from the steam engine to modern smartphones. Some short-term weaknesses. Capitalist economies can also be unstable. They often experience cycles of boom and bust. During economic booms, investment rises, business expand, and confidence grows. But confidence can collapse suddenly when recessions happen. Unemployment rises, businesses fall, spending falls, and economies shrink. Another short-term issue is inequality. Some people accumulate wealth very quickly, while others struggle financially. Another effect of modern capitalism is constant consumer pressure. Companies encourage people to upgrade products, like maybe Apple, follow trends, and continue spending. This can lead to debt and overconsumption, which is why many financial educators recommend habits like automatically saving part of your income, avoiding emotional spending, and separating temporary wants from long-term goals. And for over longer periods, capitalism has transformed human civilization. Some long-term strength was that before industrial capitalism, most humans lived in extreme poverty. Life expectancy was short, famine was common. Since capitalist industrialization spread globally, living standards have risen dramatically in many countries. People gained greater access to medicine, food, education, technology, and transportation. Capitalism also drove enormous technological revolutions. Electricity, the internet, vaccines, modern agricultures, and telecommunications. However, long-term weaknesses. One serious long-term problem is environmental damage. Capitalism rewards growth and profit, sometimes without considering environmental consequences. Pollution, carbon emissions, deforestation, and habitat destructions are all connected to industrial expansion. Another issue is wealth concentration. People who already own assets can continue growing wealth through investments and compounding. People without disposable income may never fully participate in those systems. This can deepen inequality across across generations. Even relatively small investments made early can grow substantially over decades because of compound interest. But not everyone has equal access to those opportunities. A third issue is monopoly power. Over time, successful companies can become so dominant that competition weakens. When monopolies form, innovation may slow and consumers may lose choice. For some strained with capitalism, supporters of capitalism highlight several major strains. Firstly, economic growth. Capitalism has produced enormous wealth and economic expansion. Competition often increases efficiency and innovation. Secondly, individual freedom. Capitalism is closely connected to economic freedom. People can choose careers, businesses, investments, and purchases. Supporters argue that financial independence can create greater personal freedom too. For many people, money is not merely about luxury, it's about security, reduced stress, and more control over their lives. Then we have consumer choice. Competitive markets create variety. Consumers often have more products and services available at different prices. Then we have innovation. The profit motive pushes companies to develop new technologies and ideas constantly. Then the weaknesses of capitalism. Critics point to several serious weaknesses: inequality, exploitation, environmental damage, boom and bust cycles, commodification, which in capitalism almost anything can become something to buy and sell, healthcare, housing, education, even personal data. Critics also argue that capitalism can encourage people to connect self-worth with consumption, owning more, buying more, upgrading constantly. Ironically, some of the healthiest financial habits involve resisting parts of consumer culture altogether. Capitalism is not just a historical theory. It shapes modern debates about wages, housing, climate change, healthcare, artificial intelligence, and the power of large technology companies. People continue debating how much governments should regulate markets, how heavily the wealthy should be taxed, how workers should be protected, and how much inequality is acceptable. Understanding capitalism also helps you understand your own financial life, how you spend money, how companies influence your decisions, whether you save or invest, and how to participate in the economy without letting consumption completely control your life. Because in a capitalist world, financial literacy becomes a form of independence. So let's slowly recap what we have covered. Capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership, free markets, competition, and profit. Thinkers like Adam Smith helped develop the theory behind free markets and the invisible hand. Different forms of capitalism exist, including industrial capitalism, welfare capitalism, and finance capitalism. Capitalism drives innovation and economic growth, but can also create inequality and instability. Over time, capitalism has dramatically improved living standards while also contributing to environmental damage and wealth concentration. And capitalism continues shaping modern debates about work, technology, climate, and money. And perhaps one of the most important things to remember is that your value as a person is not the same thing as your productivity. So rest also matters, health matters, relationships matters. Okay, money is important, but it is supposed to support your life, not replace it. Okay? So I really hope you enjoyed this video. And I saw many people requesting different ideologies after my communism video. That is why I decided to do capitalism, because it is the opposite of communism. Let me know in the comments what ideology I should do next. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.